find the days leading up to the festive season overwhelming, juggling work, family, and the pressure to make the celebration special for everyone. Whether you're celebrating Thanksgiving or Christmas, this episode is for you. Today, we're talking about managing holiday stress and embracing the true meaning of these occasions, bringing joy and connection back into the season. Today's guest is a life and mindset coach who, like many of us, has experienced the challenges of balancing career and life demands. She started out as a chemical engineer, driven by her love for science, structure, and problem solving. However, managing both a demanding career and motherhood brought unexpected struggles, leaving her feeling exhausted and out of touch with her own needs. Through coaching, she learned how to reconnect with herself, align her life with her values, and rediscover joy. Now, as a certified life coach, she is passionate about guiding other women towards more fulfilling lives. So stay tuned for practical tips and tools on managing festive stresses. Let's welcome our guest, Shelli Hopkins. Welcome, Shelli.
Hi, Natasha. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. Hi, Diana.
Hi, Shelli. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for graciously accepting our invitation to have you on board. And we cannot wait for our discussion.
Well, I'm really excited to be here. So let's go.
Let's go. All right. So, Thanksgiving is just around the corner, and I'm sure this is something that a lot of people will resonate because there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of expectation that comes with it, right? But before we dive into managing a lot of these stresses, why do you think the holiday season brings so much pressure and stress to so many people?
Gosh, I have a lot to say about this because there's so much pressure and stress that comes with the expectations of the holiday seasons. We put so many expectations on ourselves, and those expectations are both internal and external. And a lot of us put a lot of pressure on ourselves to host events and give thoughtful gifts and uphold long-held family traditions. There's also the pressure to reconnect with friends, which brings a lot with it in itself because you've got to schedule those times to get together, and you got to pack it all in within a few short weeks. And then you also have to manage those tricky family dynamics that come into play. So that's another part. There's financial stress that comes with having to purchase gifts and schedule traveling and book traveling, and then actually host celebrations. And then if that's not enough, there's also the fact that even though we might get a few days off for the holiday itself, our everyday lives we don't hit the pause button on them. They keep going, and we have to keep up with juggling work and school and extracurricular activities. And then there are always those extra Christmas recitals for people who are in orchestra or band. And, you add all of the little extra things on, and it's a lot to cram into a few short weeks or a shorter period of time. So it's no wonder that we feel overwhelmed, truly.
Yeah, I love that. I think a lot of people have these expectations to creating the perfect holiday, right? Traditions that we try to stick with, that we've been doing this for many years. We're not breaking it this year, right? We gotta keep doing something, even though it's causing a lot of stress in the family, relationship stresses, because they want to make it so perfect, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The impact of or the influence of social media these days as well, which doesn't really help.
No, because you see everything that everyone else is doing. Exactly.
Shelli, we're curious to know, when you were juggling with demanding, career and your family, what were some of the sacrifices that, made you feel that lack within yourself?
Well, honestly, Natasha, I don't think I realized what was going on at first. I was just, when you're in the thick of it, you know that you have this feeling in you that you've got everything that you wanted. You've got the job going, you've got the children and the family that you wanted, you're happily married, and but you still just have this feeling of frustration, even resentment at times of all that's going on and all that you're having to juggle. And so I didn't realize at the time, now I do, that I was sacrificing my connection with myself, because I think for a lot of women, I can't speak as much to men, and I know the perspective of a woman in these positions, but I'm sure they have their own frustrations too. But for me, it was disconnecting from myself. The first thing that would go would be something for me, just to make sure that I had covered all my bases for everything at work and everybody at home. I was taking care of everyone else but myself. And so through coaching, I learned that, you can let that slide here and there through deciding where to go for dinner at night, and you don't want to have an opinion. You just want the kids to agree on a place to go and be happy. And you say, it doesn't matter. Every one of those little, it doesn't matter what I want, let's just keep the peace, is a ding against your connection to yourself. And that adds up over time. And so it's no wonder when we think that other people are going to solve that for us, when we don't understand that it's our responsibility to maintain that connection and to know what makes us happy and to take action on those things. It's really important. It's no wonder you get down the road if you don't realize that, and you find yourself totally disconnected from self and resentful of everyone around you. So coaching helped me understand that that is very much my responsibility. And I've been working on it ever since, and it's made all the difference. It's the little things, having an opinion, like for dinner. You might not push that point, but at least know what you want. When someone asks you what you want for your birthday, it got to the point where I couldn't have even told you what I wanted for Christmas or my birthday, because I was so focused on everything else. I had no idea what I really wanted anymore. So I think it's doing your best to stay connected with what brings you joy and what you truly want.
When it's festive season, we want to make sure everybody's happy. And we want to ask everyone, what do you like? What do you like? What do you like? And before you know it, you're doing like hundreds of tasks.
Yeah.
If you just focus on yourself and see, okay, what can I do? What can I manage? And within that time frame, what can I give my best?
Yes.
That's all you need. And I think the whole family is happy end of the day. They don't really do that.
And that's the thing, I'm a mindset coach. So you talk about mindset, it changes everything when there are big things. When you are connected to yourself and what you want, and we're factoring yourself into the equation, that you bring such a different energy to everything, to your life, to your kids, to your relationship with your husband, with your friends. When you're coming from a place of feeling like you do factor in, it's not all about everyone else. You are very much a part of it. The other piece of that is knowing that you have choices. I mean, talk about the holidays. You have all the traditions that you're trying to hold up. A lot of those you didn't even start. They were passed to you, which is beautiful. But when you feel like you don't have a choice in the matter, it totally shifts the way you view it. And it feels like a burden instead of something that you truly choose and something that you truly want. So every now and then I work with my clients on completely clearing their plates. Take everything off. You don't have to do any of it. Now, what do you choose to put back on, and why? Connecting with that. Why do you choose what you want to put back on? Why is it important to you? And that really shifts a lot.
I want to highlight what you just mentioned, is that the tradition that was passed on to us, sometimes we forget that we have a choice to make our own tradition. This is our life, and this is your life. This is our family's new tradition. And that is really important to live by your own sets of rules, and the things that is in alignment with your core values as a unit, right?
Yes.
And
Yes. And
sometimes we
why that's
forget that.
important to you.
Yeah.
Why you forget the why.
Mm.
And I think taking it off the plate and deciding, no, I like that tradition. Why do we do it? Why do I value it? Why do I enjoy it? How
Mm.
does it connect me to my family?
Yeah, so becoming more aware. Awareness is the key to everything.
Always, yes.
Right. When we talk about this shifting from your full-time career, managing your life as a coach, how did you reconnect with yourself and realize I have to make a shift?
Honestly, because I had been in that career for 20 years and I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I was working with amazing people doing really great work, and engineering was something that I believe in and I love, but it wasn't filling my cup the way that I needed it to. And so then I found coaching. And when I got really real with myself, I realized this is not right for me. If it were right for me, I would want to keep pushing forward, because that's not like me at all. I'm constantly wanting to be challenged and grow. And so when I had that realization, it really was a big moment for me. And that's when I realized I needed the reconnecting to self is what brought me into coaching. Then I finally understood that I had lost connection with myself, and it was my responsibility to know what I wanted. And I felt so empowered by that, and I wanted to teach other women to do the same, because I believe in it so strongly. I don't think that it's taught. In high school we always laughed about, and this shows you how old I am, but balancing checkbooks. They never taught us simple financial things. We were learning more advanced things, but when it came to like the fundamental ways to operate in life, we weren't taught that. That came from our families. I don't think we're taught how our brains work in many situations. And all through my engineering career, I've dealt with anxiety and perfectionism and people pleasing, and I never knew how to deal with those things. Mostly I would shove them down, which works for a while until it doesn't, right? And so when you're asking what finally happened, I finally reached the point where I knew I've got to hit these things head on. And coaching, I luckily found coaching. It gave me those tools to empower myself, to reconnect with myself, to know what I wanted, to know that nobody else was coming to save me, that it was up to me to save myself. And what was I waiting for? Really, I don't know. It's crazy how we feel like Superman's out there, or Superwoman, and they're going to swoop in and solve these issues for us. And I think we desperately want to solve them, but we don't know how. So coaching put all of the pieces of the puzzle together for me, helped me feel more empowered, and I realized this is what I'm meant to be doing.
That's amazing. So how is that letting go of some of those expectations from career to holiday to tradition, letting go of all of those things to reconnect with yourself and really enjoy any season in your life?
it's it's a challenge every day, and I tell you the biggest parts are shifting from engineering into life coaching is, they feel like two totally different directions, although they're not, because there's so much science involved in how our brains work and all of that. But for me in the holidays, I think my biggest challenges continue to be that perfectionism, the tendencies toward perfectionism, and then also making other people happy. And I have had to really practice in my life learning that the things that aren't perfect and aren't planned are some of the most beautiful things in our lives. I remember after everybody had gone to bed one Thanksgiving, we had all been sitting up watching a show or something, and everybody slowly went to bed, and my dad and I were still sitting there, and I said, I saw this really funny thing on the internet the other day. It was James Corden and carpool karaoke, and we sat up for at least an hour laughing and watching that. I mean, I had not planned that. It was totally off the cuff. And it's one of my favorite memories because we had so much fun together, just sitting there, my dad and I, so some of the most, I think, remembering that some of the best things aren't planned and aren't perfect. There's so much beauty in everything. It's not 0 or 100. There's so much beauty in between. And that's really what makes us human. We're not machines. We might be taught to think that we should function that way and we're rewarded for that. But in actuality, that's not how it works. So that, and the other thing is the people pleasing, thinking that I actually could make other people happy. And coaching taught me that I can't do that. As much as I would be in if we could control other people, that's not something that's possible. So understanding that I can show up, all I'm responsible for is how I participate in the holiday, or what I bring, the energy that I bring. How do I want to show up? And that really shifted a lot for me. And then from there, it's everyone's own responsibility how they accept what's been planned or the food that's prepared. I mean, it's up to them. And so putting that back in their hands was a big part of me overcoming the people pleasing portion.
Yeah.
Now I can't say I'm perfect at it, and I still work at it every day, but it's a lot better.
Yeah. So it sounds like you really are becoming aware of what you can control and what you can't control.
Exactly.
And there's a lot more of awareness of what you can control, which is coming back to yourself, what really is in alignment with your core values and what you want to,
Yes.
traditions that you want to live by, and that you're giving back the control to other people that you can't control, right? So you have a choice, I have a choice, let's go party.
Yes. Exactly. And it's so crazy how our brains make us think that we are responsible or have control for things that we don't.
Yeah.
And so when we wake up again and become aware of what we do have control over and what we don't, it shifts everything. It really does.
Thank you for sharing the part about your dad as well. It truly shows how, your pure intention, that's what matters.
Yes.
You can do all the preparation in the world, but really it's the essence, the true intention. What do I want? Just spending time with my family and having that great bonding, a laugh and a giggle. Oh.
Yeah. Which is true connection, right? You can't fabricate that. I mean, you can create the environment for it, and then it needs to happen on its own.
That's it.
And also setting the intention, I think, before you go into the holiday events, really stopping to think what is important and setting the intention for what you would like, how you would like to show up, and what you are most looking forward to getting out of it. That tells your brain what to focus on instead of all of those little details that really don't matter in the long run.
Yeah.
You won't remember what napkins you used on the table, in 20 years. That's not important.
No, that's true. We're having such fun having this conversation. But I just want to address this with our audience that if you are enjoying this conversation and haven't yet subscribed to our channel yet, please do us a favor. Please hit the like and subscribe button. And also share this with someone who you feel can benefit from this or will really get something out of this, this recording today. Please share this with them, and it will mean the world to us if you like and subscribe it. Let's get back to our guest. So, Shelli, talking about holiday season, and we also want to be mindful that for some people it can be lonely, right? What advice do you have to people who are feeling lonely and isolated to finding moments of peace and joy?
Yes, Natasha, it is really important to remember all of those people who are grieving over the holiday season. And I mean, all of us have that to a certain extent. And that grief and that loneliness can feel like it's such a big part of the holiday, because like we said before, we have traditions that are a big part of what we like to incorporate in our holidays. And a lot of times meaningful parts of those traditions are missing. And so that reminds us of what we've lost and who we miss. But I think there are ways to keep them present, keep our loved ones who we've lost present in our holiday traditions. So if you have a tradition that you treasure, go forward with that if you can, and incorporate it and speak about the person that you're missing, incorporate them in it. I think that's a really a good way to keep that memory alive. And I think also surrounding yourself with people who you love, who can lift you up and who can help you feel supported and help you feel like you're seen in your grief and can walk by your side through that time. I think that's a really good way, again, to address what you're feeling, because we don't want to cover it up. You don't need to show up with a smile on your face and feel like you have to be happy. You can come and it's who you are, and the people who love you will understand. And another way I think that's really good to move through grief during the holidays is to volunteer. And when you're giving back and really seeing other people who might be struggling, it's a good way to try to make yourself feel more a part of something bigger and to feel better.
Yeah, I love that. It's grief is it's just so much love in your heart that no place to go, right? And so sometimes it's very isolating and it's very lonely in it. And I think it's really important to honor all of those feelings that you're having, and maybe create a ritual that acknowledges your loss. And I know a friend of mine, every Christmas or a Thanksgiving, what they do is they light a candle for their loved ones, and they put up the picture, even in their dining table when they're eating. There's a candle there, and then they're honoring the loved one they lost, and it it makes them feel so connected. And they say a prayer for the person and they thank them. And so I love that tradition. And I think that if that is something that resonates with you, think about ways to honor your grief and to let it out, so that it creates some kind of comfort for you and your family, right? And I think that don't hesitate to reach out to friends or communities, like what you said. There's a bigger world outside of our minds, right? It's so much worse sometimes when we're grieving to really to marinate, to ruminate. And if you look out, there's people out there who cares for you and who wants to know how you're doing. And I love that volunteering, in honor of your
Yeah.
loved ones. And I think it makes that connection and that memory alive. Yeah, I just love that. Thank you for sharing that. I
Well,
think
and I love the candle and the picture. I mean, I believe they're still with us. And I believe in our hearts. However, I believe they're still there. And I think remembering that you're still connected and remembering that you're connected to, like, we're all connected. That's where the volunteering comes in and the reaching out comes in. I don't think you'd have to be a really cruel person to turn someone away who's wanting to connect over a holiday, who's grieving. And I think people want to connect. We convince ourselves in our minds. We think of a million reasons why we shouldn't. I don't want to make them sad might be one. I'm embarrassed to cry in front of people. Whatever the reason is, there are a million reasons that your mind will give you for not reaching out, and it only keeps you isolated, and it doesn't help the healing. So you do have to be vulnerable. And I do realize it's hard to put yourself out there at times, but understanding that we're all connected and we're all, I believe, here to help each other through whatever. This life's not easy for anybody. So remembering that and connecting is just huge.
Wanted to say this reminds me of a recent movie I watched with my children. It's a new movie on Netflix, A Man Called Otto.
Yes, yes. I loved that. That was
A
wonderful.
brilliant movie. And yes, it just goes to show that there are people out there, and you do have that within you. You are loved. You
Yes,
just have to be open to receiving that love.
yes. 1,000,000%, Natasha.
I'm curious to, what you both of you actually think about. What is the true meaning of festive season? Like,
For me, it's definitely connection, definitely connection, gratitude, being thankful for the blessings that we have, taking time to reflect on lessons learned over the years, and then realigning with values. So back to the connection, I mean, really taking time to connect with your family and your friends and your loved ones and those relationships that really enrich your life. Under keeping the lines of communication open so that when you do need to reach out, whether it's to celebrate or if you're troubled by something, you know that you've got that person in your corner. So definitely reconnecting in that way. It's really easy to go through the year back to the whole thing about gratitude. It's so easy to walk through life and miss all of the really beautiful things that are around you. So it's kind of my time to heighten my sense of awareness for the things that I'm thankful for. Of course, your family, your friends, the fact that you have a house. I did one post on the fact that I have a washing machine. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but I use the washing machine 1,000,000 times a week and never think about the fact that, man, it is a really nice thing that I can walk downstairs in my home, wash some clothes, and then dry them as well. I mean, the dryer too. But I mean, it's everything. We have so much to be thankful for that we kind of sleepwalk through life, not realizing how much we have to be thankful for. And I know it seems like a cliche, but when you start living out of a place of gratitude and you start to really open your eyes to those things, talk about a mindset shift. Our minds have a natural negativity bias that keeps us focused on the things that are going wrong, and for good reason. Through evolution, if we didn't see that tiger chasing us or the snake in the woods or whatever it was, I mean, our minds are here to keep us alive. We needed to see the things that weren't so good in our lives, but now that doesn't serve us as well in modern life. So you really have to make a conscious effort to turn your mind to gratitude and to see those things that we naturally just tune out. And we have a reticular activating system in our brain. Here's my science part for the day.
Love it, love it. Go for it.
It's like this net, or I think of it as a net over our minds. If we took in everything that our senses experienced in a day, we would be overwhelmed. So our brain has to have this system, the reticular activating system, and it's actually a part of our brain that sifts through what's important that's coming in through our senses and what we can safely let go of. And this is the cool part, we train our reticular activating system what to look for. So if we are unconsciously moving through life with this negativity bias, only seeing all of the bad stuff, that's what we see. And that's what we focus on, and that's what we see. But when you wake up and you have awareness of all the things in your life that you have to be grateful for, when you see the positives, yes, some of the negatives are still there, but it's not all negative. You're playing the part of the movie in your head that sees the positives as well. And we actually see more because we've trained our reticular activating system to look for it. I think that's the coolest thing ever. And it's a big check mark for gratitude. And then as far as reflecting on the year, I think as we move through life, we have so much that we learn. I mean, that's why we're here. We're growing and we're learning. So taking the holiday season to actually look back on those things and take those lessons into our next year. I think that's a big hard part of the holiday season for me. And finally realigning with my values. And there's nothing that will make you realign with your values like being stressed out about the holidays. You have to stop, take a moment, and understand what's important and what is meaningful to you, and then realign everything with those things instead of the things that aren't important.
To me, yes, I used to stress out as well, like just like everyone else. I see the world around me stressing out. Oh, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I should be stressing out. That's how I always felt. So, yeah, I would take on that. But now it's all about connection. It's all about
Yeah.
just being present with my family and having a laugh, having a giggle, and just, yeah, connecting in the way you want to connect with each other rather
Yes.
than the external expectations. What
Yeah.
about you, Diana?
Similar. I'm really big on birthdays. For me, that's where I use my New Year's resolution. I don't do them in January like society would want us to be. It's really a time for reflection, like what Shelly's saying. It's time for connecting with my core values, and intentionally looking at where was I last year to where am I going? Are my needles moved? And if they haven't, and then I get curious as to why. People, relationship that I need to nurture and weed out, because we evolved, right, all the time. And so if the relationship that I may have neglected, that's something that I want to intentionally nurture. And so I love when Shelley said reconnecting to self.
Mm.
And I think that when we reconnect with ourselves, relationship outside of ourself is a lot easier, because then you're showing up authentically. You're showing up with love and care and courage and bravery and grace, and everything else is spontaneous for me. That's yeah, and that's what I love about festive for me. It's really just reflect and become aware of where were you to where you're going.
I love that you do that for your birthday.
Yeah. Natasha knows about that too. I write a whole letters around for myself.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a process. It's a process for us. But for us in Thanksgiving here in Canada, it's really family. And so I ask myself, what does that mean? How do I want that for this year? Because I love what you said, Shelly. Choices, right? You are never without choices. And if last year didn't work for you, how can you improve that for this year?
Right.
And I think that setting those boundaries are really important, and highlighting where you can say no so that you can say yes to the most important things, that you want to see this year, right?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love that. So that brings us almost to the close. So let's go ahead with some punchy rapid fire. Are you ready, Shelly?
I think so. Go.
How do you handle last minute gift shopping? Panic or plan?
Panic. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I like to shop ahead of time. Because when we're out and about and there are a lot of people around and I feel pressured, I don't function as well. So I like to get everything done ahead of time. But I will say there are often gifts that those last lingering little gifts that I can go and take care of, and it's okay. But for the most part, plan.
So what's your go-to gift for someone you don't know very well?
Ah, probably a candle. I feel like candles are so peaceful. Now, scent can be tricky because not everyone likes the same scent, but I try to get something kind of neutral. The other thing would be a blanket because who doesn't love a nice throw?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blanket
Yeah.
is good.
What's one thing you think people should stop stressing about during the holidays?
Perfection and people pleasing. Because number one, for perfection, there's no such thing. And number two, for people pleasing, you can't control
There's no
people
such
anyway.
thing.
Exactly. There's really no such thing for either of them. Exactly, Natasha.
What's your holiday motto that you try to live by?
Keep it simple.
Mm.
We have so many opportunities these days to do a million things. And I'm not good to anyone if I'm running from one thing to the next, because quality over quantity would also be another one. I would rather have really good quality time at fewer events with people than trying to run and, cover all the bases with many events. And then you feel like you really haven't connected with anyone or enjoyed any of them. So keeping that simple, keeping gift giving as simple as you can. I mean, you want to give good, thoughtful gifts, but maybe instead of thinking you need a ton of things for people, think of one really thoughtful thing that you can give. Meal prep, the whole everyday life thing still going on in the background, that we might eat out a little bit more than we usually would, or I might try to grab a few things that are easier, that take less prep and less time to cook. So yeah, just knowing that you can't do it all, so consciously choose what you do and keep that as simple as you can.
So now you're a full-time coach,
Yes, yes.
and tell us more about that.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you
Mm.
and Natasha. I want to thank both of you, Diana, so much for having me here on Heart Space. It's an honor. I love what you guys are doing in the world. I believe in it. I believe we're all in this together, pulling in the same direction, trying to help people. And so I really appreciate you having me on. As for getting in touch with me, I am mindset coach for women, life and mindset coach for women. And you can find me at shellyhopkins.com and also at Shelli Hopkins Coaching on Instagram.
Beautiful. So tell us more about what you help your clients with. If there are somebody who is really interested in working with you, how do you help them through life and mindset?
Well, depending on what they're struggling with or what they're wanting to achieve, just really breaking it down to understanding, is this what you truly want, or is there really something else that you're not identifying that you want? And then understanding how your mind works and how your brain works. Our brains don't come with an instruction manual, and that it literally blows my mind that they have so much control over how we function in the world, whether they keep us in fear and keep us stuck, or allow us to feel more confident and move forward and accept new responsibilities, or new opportunities. If things feel uncertain, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad uncertainty, but our brains don't realize the difference between those feelings. So really teaching my clients and working through what their thoughts are. That's where the mindset work is. The cognitive cycle is a huge thing that I love to work from. And it's the fact that everyone has circumstances in life. Those circumstances we interpret based on past experiences, based on how our day is going, in the moment. But we have thoughts about those circumstances, and those thoughts are not always accurate. So really focusing in on what those thoughts are and how they're making us feel, because our thoughts drive our feelings, and then how those feelings affect our actions and the way that we show up in the world. And our collective actions become our life. I mean, that's really how we're living. So if you are creating a life that you aren't completely in love with, or there's a certain part that's not working for you, backing up to those thoughts is always really, really helpful, because you might not even know that you have limiting beliefs that are creating this thing in your life that you're stuck and you can't get out of. So that's a really big way that I work with my clients.
Wow. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, now I want to work with you. I think that's beautiful how you highlight a lot of personal awareness, personal development, and also really getting interested in your core values, right? And your thought patterns, your belief system. I think that those are some of the things that a lot of people don't pay a lot of attention. And your science background really helps integrate a lot of the science-based neuroplasticity and how in reality our brain is here to protect us and there is nothing wrong with you. It's really
No,
just looking at how are you made up, and creating those new choices so that you can live a life in a more fulfilling and meaningful, directed by the self rather
yes,
than society, right? Shut the
yes,
noise down. Yeah. Oh, I
yes.
love that.
If you don't step into that position, society and the world around you will direct you all day long,
Yeah.
blindly.
Yeah.
And that's why we often don't end up where we want to be with certain things. So
Yeah. Oh, Shelli, thank you so much for
thank
gracing us
you.
with your presence today. We really appreciate your knowledge, your vulnerability today. And if there's one thing, if there's somebody out there who's struggling to manage everything, the stress and the wanting to hold on to those traditions and they're not ready to let it go yet, what's one advice you would like to impart with that someone?
That would be that you're not alone.
Mm.
And we are all human. We all have human experiences. And feeling that way is a very human, normal way to feel. And if you reach out to a close friend or a trusted family member, they can help you. They really can. And if you aren't finding what you need, there are people like Diana and Natasha and I that are here to help you look into those things and see what we can do to help you move through it. So there is a way forward. That's my message. And you're not alone.
Oh, absolutely. Never alone. And it's sometimes that you feel like you're alone. It's that's the brain that's telling us.
Yes, it's a lie. Our
It's a,
brains lie to us. We don't realize it, but they do. They do. And
yeah,
when we know that, when we understand it, it's life-changing, because that is what can move you from believing that thought that you're alone to actually understanding, okay, I hear you, brain, and I know you're scared, but there's no reason to be. We're going to reach out because I am in control and I am going to get better. And that one simple act can open up so many doors.
yeah, yeah. And also befriending some of those thoughts, right? They're not there to destroy us.
Yeah.
They're there for a reason. They protected us at some point in our lives, and those beliefs does not necessarily have to, continue on, but to really understand that, like what you said, you're here. I know you're scared and you're protected me at some point, but right now we have agency to get some help. And I think that's a really good first step, especially during this holiday traditions and holiday seasons that are coming up, and stress-free, right?
Exactly, exactly. It
Yeah,
can be a wonderful, joyful time if you let go of some of the things that you're carrying. You might not even realize you're carrying.
exactly. Thank you so much, Shelli. We're going to put Shelli's information in the link below. And if you or anyone you know who is struggling, or would like to have some conversation with Shelli, we would encourage you to do so. And we will share your information in the link below.
Shelli, thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
And yeah,
everyone.